Hi, I'm Rutvij, and I'm currently working as a senior product manager with Amazon in Spain. Um, basically, within Amazon, I'm working in something called the translation services ecosystem for Amazon, which is looking at localizing and globalizing all content that Amazon creates, be it retail or Prime subtitles or AWS tech documents, all of that. So we have products and machine translation tools which do those translations and localizations for you. How I landed up here today is I started off as a computer engineer back in 2012. And after spending a couple of years as a software developer at TCS, I moved on to do an MBA where I majored in IT and analytics, and finally got into a couple of analytics roles at Infosys and Ola. And Ola basically was the first product company where I worked as a product analyst and also developed a keen interest in product management. So I started learning hands-on product management at Ola, which helped me not just learn the tricks of the trade, but also land a product management role later on at GE. And after spending around 3 odd years at GE, I'm finally in the last 1.5 years, I have been with Amazon as a product manager. Well, honestly, one of the great things about this role is that no 2 days are the same, but depending on what type of tech product you are managing and where the product is currently in its life cycle, you could be doing things like you could be doing market research such as surveys and customer interviews for identifying problem statements in your business, or you could be slicing and dicing data to get some insights about how your product is performing, or gathering some data justifying a new product initiative to your leadership. You could also be writing product definition documents for your engineering team, describing the customers, the problems, the proposed solution. And you would also be spending time on working and creating a user experience design or wireframe for your product, either independently or with designers. And then obviously you work very closely with engineering team to explain the use cases, the business requirements, giving inputs on technical design, or just taking updates on the status of the development. And finally, obviously, you need to work a lot with multiple business stakeholders within the organization. So, be it the executive leadership or people who are driving the business behind your product. You would either be justifying new product initiatives with them, or you could be brainstorming on some business problems. You could be giving an update on the execution and stuff like that. And then after your product has been released, you will be spending a lot of time working with customers, collecting feedback, measuring the success of your product through data and stuff like that. So there are multiple ways depending on where you currently are in your career. So as I mentioned, I started as a software developer, then got into analytics, product analytics, and then finally into product management. But that journey might not work for everyone, because you might not be in the same roles, or you might not get the same opportunities that I did. But before even getting there, I think first you need to understand and develop some of the skills that are required to be a product manager. So you start off by learning things like market research, so how to do surveys, customer interviews, focus group discussions, usability testing, competition analysis, etc. You can learn these topics either individually. There is a lot of good content available for free out there, or you can just find a course on market research which covers these topics. If you have done an MBA, then you will most probably have learned these in your course material. But once you learn market research, the next step or the next skill I would say you should focus on is data analysis. So learning at least an intermediate level of Excel and SQL, and then you can learn uh, dashboarding tools or a BI tool like Tableau, then that's a plus. Third thing, the third skill, in my opinion, would be getting some tech knowledge. So if you are not from a software development background, then learning the basics of programming and details of system design, not because you need to do programming in this role or you need to create system designs, but you work very closely with the software engineers, and you definitely want to understand what they are saying. So keeping yourself aware of the latest tools and technology, architecture, and design principles is definitely going to be helpful. Finally, I think the core skills of product management, so things like differentiating between problems and solutions, breaking down complex problems into manageable chunks, prioritization of customer segments, problems, solutions, and then obviously stakeholder management, communication, writing skills, all of that. For this, again, there are a lot of resources, but if you have a basic understanding of some of these, then I would recommend reading the book Inspired by Marty Kagan. That is definitely a end-to-end product management guide, which would be helpful for not just beginners but also experienced product managers. And then once you have all of these skills, it is all about looking for internal and external opportunities and aligning your role closer to product management. So either first get into a product company in a different role if that's what you are, if you're not currently into product management, then get into a different role and into a product company. And then once you are in the product company, start aligning yourself more and more closer to product management and look for internal uh, as well as external opportunities. Honestly, I myself haven't taken any of those courses, so I wouldn't be able to exactly name courses for you, but I know for a fact that there are LinkedIn learning courses available on end-to-end becoming a product manager. There is a end-to-end course on that on LinkedIn, and then there are also some highly if you go to Udemy, you can look at some of the highly rated product management courses. Those have also been helpful to people, and all of these again would be helpful for learning and not necessarily you. So if you want to do a course just because you put it on your resume and you would get job opportunities, then that is not always going to work. So from a learning perspective, I think LinkedIn and Udemy are definitely two places. But if you want to learn for free, then on YouTube as well, there are a lot of product managers who run their channels and teach for free. Once you have acquired the skills that you need for the role, the best thing to go forward with is target a set of companies where you actually want to land your role in. So, for example, if it's FANG, then learn about the various interview processes of all of these big tech companies. Generally, all of them have three key things that they focus on. One is your product design skills. So, how would you develop a new product or a new feature from scratch? Then the other thing is product execution skills. So, how you would deal with identifying metrics or maybe debugging an issue in your product, or even going as far as let's say analyzing some data and giving back a written solution on that data analysis. And then finally, the third is behavioral skills, which is basically talking about your past work experience. Tell me about a time when type of questions. Uh, so I think all three of these you should equally focus on. I would say product design and product execution are more important in the initial rounds, and then um, the um, the third one, which is behavioral skills, is what comes in later. So overall, I think that's a good strategy to keep in mind. In terms of answering these questions, each of them have some very great frameworks, and if you follow those frameworks, then it helps you give your answers not just accurately but also in a structured manner. So for example, for product design, you have a framework for first talking about the customers, then segmenting the customers, then identifying problems, prioritizing problems, and then talking about the solution. Similarly, there are a lot of frameworks for product execution. And then for behavioral questions, there is this framework called STAR, where you first describe the situation, then the task, then the action, and then what was the result. So use these frameworks, practice a lot, and uh, as far as actually getting opportunities is concerned, be active on LinkedIn, have your profile updated so that recruiters who are looking for candidates could get your profile in their search results. And yeah, that should help you all. In summary, what I would say is it's so people who are very close to that role, it might be easier for you, but I know that there are a lot of software developers or even non-tech folks who want to get into product management, and they often try to find a golden path to reach there. But honestly, there isn't one straightforward path where you will do step A, B, and C and finally land into product management. It differs for different people, and so my advice for everyone would be to be patient and work towards that. Don't think that your next role would be that, but at least your next role could be closer to that. Even that would help. So don't think of this as a sprint, but rather as a marathon where you need to keep on consistently transitioning your career towards it, and finally you should be able to land there. And the second thing is that this is not like the only great role out there, right? There are also a lot of other roles. So even if you don't end up in product management, don't get disheartened. I'm sure there are a lot of good roles out there where you can make a very fulfilling career.
Okay.